So my name is Ernest Adu. From Ghana, West Africa, and I've been in the UK since 2019. So I came here to do my PhD at the University of Reading, and I basically still am in my PhD in my final year, hoping to finish up at some point, by September. And also, I along the way I got a job as a lecturer, and so currently I also lecture at the University of Portsmouth in the School of Civil Engineering and Surveying. So I've got a wife who I met in the university actually.
Okay, all right.
So I actually just got married. Well, when I say just, 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I've been married for about 3 years now, and she's also a member of the church, but she's not here today. But so I come to church with her on Sunday. So she's also doing a PhD at the university. So which is actually how we met. So we met in the same university, same department, same lecture, because we took the same course for a particular semester. And then the thing is, we knew each other.
Okay.
So we had a mutual friend
Yeah.
in Ghana who told me about her and told her about me,
Okay.
because then we all come into Reading, but we hadn't actually met in Ghana. So we knew about each other, but we hadn't met in Ghana, and we met for the first time here. And then all of my other family is back in Ghana. So my parents, my siblings, all of them back in Ghana. I have a history with singing in the sense that my dad was the church music, what you would probably call the choir master or the music director, as in directing the choir, the church choir in Ghana.
Okay.
So then that's how I kind of got introduced to music, because then I would usually go with him to choir rehearsals, and then play the drums as they're singing. And I joined the choir when I was in primary school,
Okay.
because then it was more of a natural progression, because then my dad was into music, and so I got interested in music, and he actually got me a nice little piano when I was a kid, which I decided, for whatever reasons, to give out to a friend, because I wasn't interested in it at the time, which now I regret. So yeah, that's how I got into music. So I joined the school choir in primary school, and then did some singing for a few years. So I was in a choir, and then I kind of stopped singing for a while. And then in high school, I didn't go to a Catholic high school. I went to a Methodist high school.
Okay. It's quite different.
So it was very different. And then when we were approaching our final year, there was going to be a confirmation service organized for the whole archdiocese, for all of the student high schools
Okay.
in that particular region.
Yeah.
And so because it was going to be a Catholic service, they needed a Catholic choir.
Okay.
And so then they decided to form a Catholic choir just for that particular occasion.
I can see that happening.
And then I decided, at that point I felt, well, I have a history with singing, and so why not join the choir, and then at least make this ceremony better. And my brother was actually part of those that were going to be confirmed, and so I was going to get a chance to see, because he was coming from another high school as well. So
Okay.
so I joined the choir then, and then I've not looked back since. And so I joined the choir in the university as well. So it was the church choir, one of the very popular university choirs in Ghana. And so I sang in that choir for about 5 years.
So
And then
a lot of experience.
a lot of experience. And then after that, after university, I joined my choir back home, so at church, and then I became a music director there as well. And so I was directing the choir and a couple of other choirs in the diocese. And I decided to learn to play the organ as well. So I play a bit, not as good as Adrian, but I can at least, I know my way around a bit. And so I directed the church choir as well for a while, until I had to leave Ghana to come to the UK.
Okay.
So I've been singing probably since 2006,
My gosh.
continuously since 2006, and so yeah, that's been about 20 years of singing, and that's how I've actually been involved, and it's mostly been church music and choral music. That's really been my thing. Yeah. So one of the things that I learned, obviously, when you are in a choir that is well known and well established, they want to they have standards that they have to meet. And so one of the things that we used to do in Ghana was that we always used to do a lot of voice training exercises.
Yeah.
And so for the 5 years that I was in the university, you'd spend hours and hours and hours training your voice, trying to, sing at different voice ranges, pitching your voice at, different, exactly. So it kind of trained you to become a better singer. And I think that's been very helpful. And when I got to Reading as well, so, perhaps we'll get there, but then how I actually got into singing here was because I love singing and I always want to be in the choir, whatever I am, I decided to join. So the University of Reading has a chamber choir, so a choir that sings at programs. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them. So usually at the end of the year, there's always the university choral service, there's university programs that they sing at. So I joined that choir in first, so this was in 2019. And after one of our rehearsal sessions, they always used to have a kind of what would I call that? So usually after every rehearsal session, you have a group of the singers that would meet in a pub just to share a few drinks, right?
Social side.
A social side of it. So after one rehearsal session, I never really used to go with them because going to the pub wasn't really my thing. But then I felt, well, it's a group of singers. It's not like I'm going there with any kind of strangers or anything like that. So why not just go, have a drink and then have a good chat. And it turns out that I met Adrian there.
Okay.
Because he was in the choir as well. So I'd seen him in the choir, but then obviously I didn't know who he was.
So he likes to drink as well.
So,
Adrian.
well, it was more of just getting a mostly non-alcoholic at the time. So in conversations, he obviously found out that I was Catholic. I found out he was Catholic, and then he asked whether I was in any or where I was, going for mass. So I told him then I was attending mass at St. William of York, which is on campus.
Yeah. Oh.
So there's a Catholic church on campus, St. William of York. Yeah, so just around the, what's the name of that area? I've forgotten the street. Next to St. Joseph's School, yeah, next to St. Joseph's School, yeah. So that's where I actually used to go, attend mass when I first came here. And then he mentioned to me that, well, he sings here at Olop. There's another Catholic church here in Olop, and which is actually weirdly, that is the student chaplaincy, even though it is not on campus. And so that's what exactly. So he said to me that there's a choir that he handles. It's not a very large choir, but then if I'm interested, I could just come in and then see how it is, and then if I'm interested, and then I'll see how it is. So my music is kind of very self-taught. So I've never done any formal kind of training in music, attended any classes for music or anything like that. Most of the things I know in music is mostly self-taught, and so I always like a challenge. So when I came here the first time, I was like, okay, well, I do know some Latin because sometimes in Ghana during the mass we do sing some Latin songs during as church Latin mostly. So I was like, well, it's not that strange. I do know some Latin, but obviously I've not sung the traditional Latin Gregorian chants previously. But I thought, well, it's a nice challenge to have. And so initially I was a bit skeptical because it wasn't the kind of music I was used to. I was more used to the traditional kind of English style, the traditional church music, choral music. And so the first few Sundays I just came in, sat with them, just listened. And I felt, what, it's not that bad. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all still singing, and it's something that will challenge me to improve my own music knowledge as well. And so, exactly, it gives me, a wide breadth of music, music knowledge. Because then I felt, well, if I go to Rome, and then I have to attend a Latin mass, I probably won't feel odd, and just to kind of jump a lot, forward a bit during the Pope's inaugural mass. Okay. There were some music that was sung in Latin, and then I was watching that mass, and I was like, oh, I sing this in church, and it felt good at least knowing that, I could at least identify with what was being sung there. So backtracking, so yeah, after the first few Sundays, I felt, you know what, I don't sing at William of York, I just attend the mass there, and so then if I can get a chance to sing here, I could easily have joined as well there. But then once he told me that this was kind of a student because of the chaplaincy being here, and then once I came, I noticed that there were a number of students as well in the choir. I decided, why not give it a try? And then it's been what, almost 6 years of doing the Gregorian chants with Adrian, and I must say it's been worth it. It's because it's improved my own understanding of music. Certainly, it's something that we've actually been campaigning, well, not campaigning, but something we've been advocating for a few years now, because obviously because it's a student choir. Well, it started as a student choir. What would happen is that every year people come, people go, and then if we don't get new students that are willing to join, then it becomes a bit of a challenge. Now, a lot of people know some music, but then they get a bit scared with the kind of the Latin, the Gregorian, singing. So it's not what most people are used to when they think of music, and so then I think it probably drives some people away. But then it's something that for a few years now we've been hoping to get people to to join in, and then hopefully expand the choir as well. A call for members to join the choir, and so hopefully if there's anyone listening and they want to join the choir, we are very much open to getting new members, because it will be good to have, because usually when we have a very larger number, the music is better, because then we have lots of projections. We can do harmonies. We can do lots of harmonies, which we tend to do during Christmas and Easter when we have larger numbers, and so it will be good to have that. Exactly, because then sometimes if it's just 3 of us, 4 of us, we have to project loud enough for the church to hear, and so that if it's a larger group, then we don't have to project as loud, because then we kind of balance each other out, and then we can also do some harmonies, and especially with the English hymns. Because of my background in traditional classical music, I love harmonies, and so then when we've got a larger group, we're able to then sing harmonies, which I think adds some flavor and some beauty to the music that we do as well. So yeah, we definitely would love to have some new members if people are willing to join us. Yeah.
Okay,
it's not scary. You just have to come in, and then we'll guide you through all of the things. People join with very little knowledge in music, and then they're able to. Exactly. So that's probably the only restriction, because we only sing at the 11 o'clock mass, and then during festivities during the evening masses as well. And so perhaps some people may not like to come for mass at 11 because they want to have their mass early and quick, so that they could use the rest of the Sunday for the other activities. That might be a challenge, because then we only sing at 11 o'clock mass. But then if that is not a problem, then yes, we only sing at 11 o'clock mass, and we usually meet 45 minutes prior to mass. So
it's true when you're practicing.
10:15, just to have, because of the way our schedules are, we can't have rehearsals during the week unless there's a very major program coming up. Then we can try and then squeeze in some weekday rehearsals. But mostly we just meet prior to the mass on Sunday, go through the music, and then we have rehearsals for that. So if someone wants to join, basically you could either speak to Father Stan will direct you to Adrian, or you could just come and then meet us after mass, and then say hello, and then tell us you want to join, and then we'll just take things from there. So I am Ernest Adu,
As an
Ernest.
Oh, okay.
And my surname Adu.
Adu.
So it's Ghanaian, and it's, in my local parlance, it actually means 10. That is the local language for the number 10. So Adu is the number 10 in my local language. Okay. Even though according to my father, that is not why he's got the name. Because usually in Ghana, we tend to have a naming system in most tribes that follow the number of children that a parent might have. So let's say if you are the firstborn, you would have a particular name. If you are the thirdborn, you'd have a particular name.
I had a
So
friend called Quentin once, and he was the fifth.
yeah. So if People hear my surname and then wonder if my dad was the 10th born,
Yeah.
because the name means 10.
Okay.
But according to my dad, he's not the 10th born. He's probably the 12th born. But then it's probably a name that he got from, in the olden days, nobody kept records of lots of things, and so then it's difficult to trace where exactly does he got that name from. But then yeah, in my local parlance, it actually means 10. Certainly, Regina especially, I think.
She would.
Yeah, I could go pull her for you if I see her.
Could you